In naming carboxylic acids, we always follow the same rules that we have done so far with naming other functional groups, in that we want to make sure that the parent chain has the principal functional group, in this case the carboxylic acid. In naming the compound, we want to use the suffix oic acid or dioic acid if we have two carboxylic acids. Here's a very simple example having 3 carbons and a carboxylic acid. So this would be named as propanoic acid. The next example has 5 carbons in the parent chain, which has also the carboxylic acid. So this compound is named as a pentanoic acid with a substituent on carbon 4, a methyl substituent. Note that this is carbon 4 since the carboxylic acid is at the right side of the molecule. It is at the beginning of the chain, so we start from there and we get to where the methyl group is, which is carbon 4. So this compound is named as a 4-methyl pentanoic acid. In the next example, we have 8 carbons in the chain that contains both carboxylic acids. So this compound, at least the parent name for it, is octane dioic acid. It has 2 substituents. Normally we would want to start from the side that has the parent or the main functional group. In this case, there's 2 carboxylic acids. So the next rule that we will want to follow in order to determine how we number the substituents is based on which substituents are closer to one side or the other. In this case, both substituents are the same distance from the right or the left side of the chain. So they are on the 3rd carbon from the right for the methyl group, and the ethyl group is on the 3rd carbon from the left. So the last sort of tiebreaker rule is alphabetical order of the substituent. So an ethyl alphabetically goes first. So we are going to number that carbon 3. So it's 3-ethyl, 6-methyl. Lastly, there are many common names we use for carboxylic acids, probably more than most other functional groups. Here are 3 that you should definitely try to remember. Formic acid has 1 carbon, acetic acid has 2, and benzoic acid has this benzene ring plus the carboxylic acid. This table summarizes many common names for carboxylic acids. You do not need to remember these. We previously talked about trying to memorize formic acid, acetic acid, and benzoic acid. Those are the 3 that you should remember. The rest of these, you're going to come across them occasionally. It will be just as easy to look them up. So you do not need to memorize them. But I wanted to show you some of them. As you go through the course, you'll see a few of them come up. Nitriles are named with the suffix nitrile. Other than that, we typically give the alkane name followed by the word or the suffix nitrile. Here's an example. This one has 5 carbons, including the nitrile. Note that we do count the carbon of the nitrile. The nitrile is on the right side, so that's where we're going to start numbering this compound. And then when we get to carbon 4, we have a methyl group. So this compound is named as 4-methyl pentane nitrile. The next example has a nitrile. So that would be carbon 1. Then carbon 2 here, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So there is a total of 6 carbons in the longest chain that has the nitrile and also has this double bond functional group. So this compound is named as hex 3-ene, 3 because that's where the double bond starts. The double bond starts on the 3rd carbon if we start counting from the nitrile. And then the last part of the name would be nitrile. We also have a substituent on carbon 5, and also another one on carbon 2. They're both methyl groups, and so we add those substituents in front of the parent name and name it as 2,5-dimethyl hex 3-ene nitrile. Lastly, you look for any stereochemistry. We do have stereochemistry around the double bond. It is E stereochemistry, and so we add that in front of the name. This double bond has E stereochemistry based on the fact that this carbon chain is on the opposite side as this one towards carbon 5, and so that's why we name it as E. Occasionally, we might need to give the nitrile as a substituent in naming a compound. So, for example, a carboxylic acid has a higher priority. It's a higher priority group than a nitrile, and so any compound that has a nitrile and a carboxylic acid, the nitrile will be named as a substituent. Here's an example. This compound has 7 carbons in the longest chain containing the carboxylic acid, and so we would name this as a heptanoic acid. We have a substituent on carbon 3, which is a cyanyl group, and another substituent on carbon 6, which is a 6-fluoro substituent. Common names that you should try to remember for nitriles is acetonitrile, which has these 2 carbons, and benzonitrile, which has a benzene ring attached to a nitrile group. In this question, we're going to try to name this compound. It has a carboxylic acid. It has 1, 2, 3, 4 carbons in the longest chain, and it has a methyl substituent. Compound has 4 carbons and a carboxylic acid, so we would name this as butanoic acid. It has a methyl group on carbon 3, so it is 3-methyl butanoic acid.